WFTV Orlando. Now, from Central Florida's news leader, Rob Stafford, Carol Nelson, and Steve Jerby's backyard weather. This is Live at 5.
Hi, I'm Rob Stafford. Welcome to Live at 5.
And I'm Carol Nelson. Just ahead today, it looks like something from the movie Batman. We're going to show you a history-making flight.
The best way to prevent cancer might come from within. Dr. Dina Dell will explain.
Also, we're going to begin a series today on home restorations with a Victorian home facelift.
We'll also begin a week-long celebration of Apollo 11's 20th anniversary with a look back at special moments and some facts you might not know about that historic flight.
But first, our top story of the night. Well, if you live in the city of Orlando, you could be paying higher property taxes next year.
Mayor Bill Frederick released his budget proposal today for the 1989-90 fiscal year. It calls for a $1 million property tax increase. That means if you own a $75,000 home, you'll pay $50 more in property taxes each year. This will be the second property tax increase for residents in as many years, but the mayor says he just doesn't have a choice.
Ken Tyndall is covering the story. He joins us now live from City Hall. Ken, if he doesn't have a choice, he's between a rock and a hard spot. What's the big problem?
Well, Carol, he says the bottom line is he's not getting enough help from Tallahassee and Washington. The state and federal government have cut back their funding for local governments, and he just needs this extra money and the tax increase to maintain services basically as they are.
What specifically would the money be used for?
Well, he's not calling for any major new programs, but he does have some more money allocated for law enforcement, parks and recreation, and mass transit.
Now, I have read recently that cities throughout the country are having this particular problem. They're all saying, look, we're not getting help from the state, we're not getting help from the federal government. So as we understand it, with this property increase, basically we're talking about business as usual.
Basically, that's right. He says Orlando's in the same boat with a number of cities, as you indicated. They're not getting the help from Tallahassee and Washington, so he needs it to, like he says, maintain.
When is there going to be a vote on this? What's the next step?
Well, they'll be having a series of budget workshops, the City Council will, over the next several weeks, and they expect to vote maybe by the end of August.
All right. Thanks, Ken. Reporting live at City Hall. In other news, fire investigators are still searching for clues in a blaze that killed a 3-year-old boy. Details lead off our look around Florida in a minute.
The boy was killed shortly after 8 o'clock this morning when his home in Haines City caught fire. 4 adults and a 9-year-old escaped the burning home, but attempts to rescue the toddler failed. The boy's father was burned trying to save his son and is now in guarded condition at ORMC. A tractor-trailer hauling margarine flipped on the exit ramp leading from I-4 to the South Orange Blossom Trail this morning. The passenger was killed. The driver is in serious condition. Police are only speculating at this point, but they think the truck may have been going too fast. Morning traffic was tied up for hours. And finally today, the 5 astronauts who will fly the Space Shuttle Columbia into space are practicing how to escape if something should go wrong. The exercises began this morning at Cape Canaveral and include a practice countdown.
Columbia will go on a classified mission for the Defense Department next month. While its exact purpose is secret, many speculate it will launch an advanced reconnaissance satellite.
In other news, a tired President Bush is on Dutch soil today, the last stop on a whirlwind 10-day tour of Europe. That's the story that leads off our look around the world in 1 minute. This morning in Holland, the president made a stop that was long overdue. The Netherlands was the first country to establish diplomatic relations with the 13 states after the American Revolution. But Mr. Bush is the first president to say thank you with a personal visit. China's government is using the country's leading newspaper to strike back at critics in the West. In a front-page editorial, the People's Daily lashed out at the political declaration signed by Western leaders at the Paris summit. The editorial called the declaration a gross interference in China's internal affairs. Norway is voicing skepticism that what happened aboard a Soviet nuclear sub yesterday was part of a naval exercise. Spokesmen say they believe the sub caught fire off the coast of Norway, but the Soviets say the smoke pouring from the craft was part of an exercise. This is the third incident in less than 4 months involving a Soviet sub off Norway's coast. And finally today, the roar of the stealth bomber's 4 jet engines proved to be the sound of success for the most expensive plane in history. The flying wing jet took off from an Air Force base in Palmdale, California this morning and successfully completed its maiden flight. Does look like Batman should be at the controls, doesn't it? Now, the Air Force wants 132 of those planes at a cost of at least $500 million each.
Wow, now we go from the world's most expensive plane to the highest paid backyard weatherman. Mr. Steve Jervy is in Claremont tonight. How you doing?
Yeah, getting those big bucks out there in Claremont.
Of course, the fact that I'm the highest paid one indicates that I'm probably the only backyard
Yeah, well,
weatherman.
That could be the
say
case.
that
could be the case, yes.
There's no scale, I guess. If you can see behind me, and it's probably just a speck, but it's the Citrus Tower, in case you want a point of reference. And many of you know that the Citrus Tower is indeed the 9th wonder of the world, I believe, behind the Hanging Gardens of Babylon and also the Pyramids of Egypt. And I think the water fountain on Lake Eola is also right up there. We're in Joe and Snyder's backyard here in Claremont today, out in Lake County. And Joan, you have one of the best views that we'll show in a second, but first of all, we got to look at these. These aren't watermelons, are they?
No, this is an Oriental squash that's used in stir-fry cooking and most Oriental cooking.
Yeah. It seems, are these ripe now, or?
They'll be ripe probably in another week, and we're going to take them into Kissimmee to a friend that owns the Manila Cafe, and they'll probably use them in some of their cooking.
Right. Do people often mistake them for watermelons?
Yes, indeed they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and but they grow quickly, and there's a little bud over here coming in, and probably about 5 or 6 days, it'll be up about a third of what you see here.
Okay. And Joanne does a lot of different Oriental cooking, and this also is a vine. And maybe we should go over here, Max, just to give the folks a little better idea of what these things look like. So we'll walk over this way. And Joanne, these are some sort of another type of vegetable used in Oriental cooking. A lot of people probably don't realize these, but maybe if they go to a Chinese restaurant, they'll be able to pick those out. Yeah, what are they?
This is called umpalaya or bitter melon. It's used in a lot of Chinese cooking, and most Oriental cooking. You do a stir-fry with beef, or you can do a stir-fry with shrimp, and it's good with fish, shrimp, whichever. And they grow quite quickly, and they're from April and May up until about November.
I guess when they make Oriental cooking, they bring that big plate of a bunch of stuff mixed together. That could be one of the ingredients.
That's right, yes.
That's
yes.
pretty common. Okay, let's take a look at your view here. This is probably the most spectacular view, and we have, I believe, Evel Knievel that's about to jump that tree there in the foreground. No, that's not Evel, but we do have a nice view out here with a sailboat that seems to be going nowhere today. That's Lake Minnehaha, right, Joanne?
Yes, Lake Minnehaha, right. That's correct. It connects with 7 lakes in the chain.
You mentioned our elevation before was how high?
210 feet.
And I guess comparatively around Florida, that's pretty darn. This is the mountain ranges.
That's pretty high. We're in the mountains of Claremont here, the hills of Amber Hill.
What's it like being able to look at the Citrus Tower every day, the 9th wonder of the world?
Well, it's interesting.
Had you heard it was the 9th wonder of the world?
No, I really hadn't heard that.
Well,
no.
we just made that up today.
That's why I haven't heard it.
That's right. I see Evel is pulling up a little bit closer, just recovering from that big Snake Canyon jump back in the 70s. All right, let's go ahead and move on if we could. I'm feeling a little silly out here in the backyard today. Our radar picture is picking up a few little rain showers here and there. Earlier on in Lake County, we did have some pretty strong thunderstorms. Joanne tells me that they passed over Lake Minnehaha, but also over near Groveland. We have a little fire over there that seems to have caused a little bit of haze, and that haze is still hanging over Groveland, at least from our vantage point over here in Claremont. There we go, a few little off and on spotty showers, the heaviest of which now down to the south at Titusville, the northern part of Brevard County. You might want to look for some heavy downpours and some high wind bursts as that line extends all the way down to the Vero Beach area. Those showers are most likely moving to the northeast, also down into Osceola County. Let's take a look at that lightning indicator and see if there's anything of interest. Of course there is, right where you saw the flashing on our radar picture that normally shows where the more heavy thunderstorms are. We do have strikes with those, so you want to look out for some heavier weather, maybe some periods, very brief periods of some severe weather. Orlando currently 91 degrees with west winds at 12. Daytona Beach is warm again today with the west winds at 12 miles per hour. A little cloud cover helping to cool it off. Same up here in Claremont. 69% humidity. The forecast for tonight. We'll call for partly cloudy skies later. Those showers will eventually end. Still call for about a 30 to 40% chance of a shower and a low temperature of 74. High of 92 degrees. Joanne, we'll go over and look at your pond later, okay?
That'd be fine.
As we look at Evel winding up for the big jump, it looks as though he's going to try to go over Lake Minnehaha. He's traveling at speeds at well over 12 miles an hour. Robin, Carol?
Yeah, I think he's got to build up some steam here before we go back.
I think so.
Okay, fine.
Thank you. Coming up, we begin our series on restorations with an architect who designs high-ticket restaurants and turned his attention to the renovation of his own home.
Chris Rowley joins us with a look at the restoration of one of Central Florida's oldest homes. But first, in our special series of Apollo 11 moments.
Leaving the manned spacecraft operations building, flanked by guards and men in fire protective suits, every precaution being taken. There's Neil Armstrong waving, something he usually doesn't do, followed by Mike Collins and Buzz Aldrin.
Ever since Sanka decaffeinated coffee was invented, our competitors have been riding on our coattails. coming out with their own. Well, we've continued to take steps to make Sanka even better. We've moved ahead again with a natural decaffeination process that only we have, using pure water and effervescence to remove virtually none of the coffee flavor from the bean. And that means the free ride ends here. Sanka ground decaffeinated coffee. You can't beat the original.
The Mitsubishi Rewards of Summer. The personal rewards. And the financial rewards. You could save up to $1,000 through factory-to-dealer incentives on the Mitsubishi Mirage sedan, the Mitsubishi Mirage Turbo, or get a great deal on the Mitsubishi Galant, Motor Trend's Import Car of the Year. So don't go unrewarded. The Rewards of Summer, only at your Central Florida Mitsubishi Motors dealer.
International House of Pancakes announces 2 delicious deep-sea dinner deals. Your choice of our 21 shrimp dinner with 21 succulent shrimp, or our fish and shrimp dinner, tender fillet of fish and luscious shrimp. 2 shrimp dinners worth going off the deep end for. Now at International House of Pancakes.
21 shrimp dinner or fish and shrimp dinner, only $3.99.
Chris Raleigh is an architect who is very busy designing restaurants like Baby Nova, won a couple of big awards for that, and he's designed a number of them at Universal Studios. He's at work right now on the Hard Rock Cafe. Well, talk about work. He decided to turn his attention to his own restoration, and he's with us today to say we're talking hard work more than you ever thought, right?
Oh, I had no idea what I was really getting into when I bought this charming house.
And you were looking for it. I mean, you were out looking for a charming house to do.
Oh, without a doubt. I knew that I wanted to get into a remodeling. I wanted to take a house, then put my efforts and my talents into it and make it into something special.
Okay, let's show everybody. There it is, 1979. You bought the house in 1979.
Yes, I did.
Thought it would be ready in a year, right?
I thought I'd get everything done within 1 year.
Yeah.
8 years later, I finished it.
Okay, let's look at some of the in-process. And part of the in-process stuff was you had to have new wiring. You had to have everything. You didn't think you were going to need to go that far down, did you?
No, I really didn't look at it for its face value. Every time I started to do something, I found out I needed to go a further layer in to really repair it. I really, as I got into the project, I didn't spare any effort. I went right back to the 2x4s. Actually, if I had done the project all at once, rather than over an 8-year period, I would have had nothing but 2x4s standing.
Okay, that would have been it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Now that pool was once where a plane crashed.
Yeah, a Air Force plane crash landed into the backyard, and the person that owned the house at the time said, "Don't clean it up. I'll make it into a swimming pool." So that's why I have a 30-foot diameter round swimming pool.
And there it is, Raleigh Manor. Now you love architectural antiques because you do a lot of that with your restaurant stuff. So you've looked all over for these. I mean, this is your collection of architectural antiques.
Yes, and a lot of it was left over from restaurant projects I had done.
Okay, beautiful. Look at this. This is wonderful. Now, you took all this time to put all this together. We're looking at the downstairs area right now. Big staircase. Did you find different parts of other houses that you brought in, or is this pretty much all
Yes,
here?
actually, the house was not very interesting on the inside. Actually, there were only a fireplace that was of any interest, staircase, and the rest of it was really brought in. I bought at auction other fireplace mantles. The kitchen has a piece of Victorian paneling that I incorporated into the design and actually built the entire kitchen around.
So as this was going on, you're going, what did I get myself into? Because you're busy designing all these restaurants. Now, like I know you're working on the Hard Rock Cafe at Universal, and meanwhile, you needed a lot of time doing this, right? Just overseeing it?
Well, yeah, I worked on it on weekends, on vacations. Over a 8-year period, I spent an awful lot of time, a lot of sweat. You got to remember, Carol, that the house didn't have air conditioning in it initially,
didn't have anything in it.
And I mean sweat.
So what would you say to the person out there who says, oh, I love that, it looks like it came out of the pages of Victoria? Would you say, think twice before you do this?
Not at all.
Oh.
No, not at all. I enjoyed it. There were times when I was very frustrated because
Ooh, that's beautiful.
What seemed very romantic in the beginning was really sort of short on romance and long on sanding, stripping, painting, and budget increases.
So you got to be prepared for the expense.
Oh, it's so much more than you can think it's going to be you'd really be surprised.
But it would be fun to go out there, find all those things, do it, and you're really pleased with it now.
Oh, very much so. Now that it's all over.
Now that it's all over. And we're going to tell you that if you would like to see this, and you got to wait a little bit, November 1st, it's going to be open for the Hadassah Tour of Homes, and you're going to be able to see it then. It'll be one of the homes on the tour. Chris, come back and tell us about the Hard Rock Cafe when it's closer to completion.
I would love to, Carol.
Okay, thanks, Chris. Back to you, Rob.
Thanks, Carol. Still ahead on Live at 5, tonight's medical report. Dr. Dina Dell talks about beating cancer. Details on the latest treatments when we come back.
I forgot something important the other day, and someone said, oh, it couldn't have been very important or you wouldn't have forgotten it. It was someone who didn't know me very well. I forget lots of important things. So I started keeping notes. Buy a car at Orange Buick GMC. You'd think it would be hard to forget to buy a new car, but I only remembered it this morning because the old one wouldn't start again. So I wrote it down. Buy a new car from Sonny King's Orange Buick GMC. Now, if I can only remember where I put my other important notes.
Wait a minute. Let me get this straight. You mean after we close our loan, we've got 2 weeks to change our mind for any reason?
Any reason at all?
And the money store will cancel our second mortgage loan? Guaranteed?
That's right. Just return the money and the deal is off, at no cost to you. We believe the money store's low fixed rates and quick approval for qualified homeowners is your best bet. Call our local toll-free number. Dial 1-800-LOAN-YES.
Is your transmission leaking, slipping, or making funny noises? Well, that could be only a minor problem that could only cost pennies to repair. All Transmission World will fix it for less. That saves you money, and we guarantee it. And with our free estimate, that's service you can't refuse. You can avoid costly repairs with our cost-saving transmission service for only $6.95. That includes new fluid and new pan gasket, all for only $6.95. With new fluid, that's a great savings. All Transmission World will have you out of here in 30 minutes or less. And check our coupons in today's Sentinel.
Nobody. Winn-Dixie gives you low prices nobody can beat. Nobody.
There's been a big recall by the Ford Motor Company. Ford is recalling more than 1 million 1985, 86, and 87-year cars. There is a problem with the fuel injectors. The Environmental Protection Agency says a faulty part causes the cars to violate federal pollution control laws.
In other news, cancer, even that word is scary, and there's a lot you can do to prevent the disease and also to treat it.
Dr. Dina Dell is just back from the latest conference on cancer treatments. Here's his report.
It's a disease that will get 1 in 4 of us.
When I see a patient with cancer, I'm worried about that patient. It's probably too late for them.
Sobering, I would say, even frightening words from one of the almost 7,000 cancer physicians attending the annual convention of the American Society of Clinical Oncologists. They're here to discuss the latest and the best ways to treat a disease that, even in this era of AIDS, perhaps is the most frightening word to cross a doctor's lips. Now, originally, we went to this convention to catch up on the latest research in cancer so I could tell you about it. And research they got, look at this, 4,000 separate papers and presentations.